The question is, can I register my car as being owned by a limited company to avoid speeding tickets and penalty points? Well, the short answer to that question is no, but it's quite a complex subject, so let me explain the system and explain 3 reasons why it will probably not work. So every vehicle has to have a registered keeper, and the owner of the vehicle registers that with DVLA, and the registered keeper can either be an individual person or it can be a company. So it's possible to register a limited company as the registered keeper of a vehicle. Now, the reason that's important is that when a vehicle is seen speeding, the police will refer to the DVLA database and they will find out who is the registered keeper. The police then send a notice out to the registered keeper to ask who the driver is, or in fact to require the details of the driver to be provided. If the person who is the registered keeper of the vehicle does not respond, then they can be prosecuted for failing to provide driver information. Now, if an individual person is prosecuted for failing to provide driver information because they don't send the details back to the police, they can be fined up to £1,000 and they will get 6 penalty points. But if a company is the registered keeper and they don't provide the driver details, they can also be prosecuted. They will be fined £1,000, but they can't get penalty points because they're a company, they don't have a driving licence, and there's nowhere for the penalty points to go. So some people will register a vehicle with a limited company. They'll drive around getting speeding tickets. The police send notices out. The company don't respond. The company can get fined. They're quite happy paying the fine, and they don't get any penalty points. Now, that's essentially a scam. And there are 3 reasons why in most circumstances that will not work. Now, of course, there will be times where it does work, I suppose, and the limited company gets fined and nobody gets any penalty points. But let me explain the 3 reasons why most of the time that won't work. And in fact, it's an illegal scheme which you should not do on purpose. So the first thing that the police will do is that if they don't receive a response from the limited company, then they can look on Companies House database. They can find details of the company officers, so that means the directors and the secretary of the company. They can then send them a notice in their individual name. They also look on the insurance database, find out who's insured to drive the vehicle and send those people notices. And then they can use any other intelligence or any knowledge they have to send notices out to anybody that they choose to. So in those circumstances, not only does the company get prosecuted for failing to provide driver information and fined £1,000, all of the other individuals could be prosecuted too if they failed to provide driver information. So that's the scenario with most cases. There is a provision in the Road Traffic Act that says that anybody involved in a company who consents or connives not to send details back could also be prosecuted in the same way that the company is prosecuted, and that can be employees, managers, directors, anybody really, and those people will be prosecuted and they could receive penalty points. So that's the second system, although it's very rare for that particular provision to be used. The final provision, and the most serious one, is that if the police thought that this was a scheme that had been put in place on purpose in order to avoid penalty points, for example, if a company had multiple tickets that were never responded to, the police could investigate people involved in the company for the offence of perverting the course of justice. If those people were prosecuted for perverting the course of justice, their case would have to be heard in the Crown Court, and people frequently receive prison sentences for offences of perverting the course of justice and would almost inevitably go to prison for setting up a scheme like this if they were convicted.